Hello and welcome back once more to another video about AI generated scripts. Today we're going to talk about PHP, and I created this folder here called PHP stuff, and inside that folder let's put some PHP files, and the kind of rule is that I should mainly use Chat GPT to generate my stuff. So what I kind of need to do now is just to create a file. Let's just call it test. It doesn't really matter if I spelled it better, it would definitely be the right way. So PHP. So now I have this file. I should be able to execute it, and literally that's it. So we could test this by using supple sublime text, and nope. Inside this file we can create a small PHP script just doing a echo statement saying it works, or IT works. That would also be perfect. So then one more time, let's execute it and say IT works. So that is the the sentence we need to execute. So what I want to show is when you are creating some sort of file that needs to be checked for its validated for its type, for example, you need to check whether a file is the file a JPEG, for example. That could be one check we need to do. Also, check the file size could be one of the things we could look for when thinking about how to validate a file's content. Also, how can we validate that an JPEG is an actual JPEG file. These are the things that I would like to develop using Chat GPT, and I apologize for the voice today. I am fresh and recovered fully, but after that it still sits in your throat, or just generate a little more. You have a darker voice, so maybe I should do an actor voice for Darth Vader now. So let's go to Chat GPT and say, write a PHP script that will check if the file is an actual JPEG image. I'm kind of giving it a direct instruction here. So it gives us the file path, the image type, which is a type of a a constant value, I guess, that we can find on PHP websites. Let's go to php.net, do a little research about it. That's why we're here, right? To learn. So let's take it, and we can see that different kind of value types can be these. It's also a number. So, but this is a constant value, which is easier for humans, programmers, we write code, to read than an actual number. What is file 11, for example? It's like, but you can probably remember what a JPEG is, for example. So let's go with this code for now. Just let's copy paste it and put it in there. It's a bit big. There we go. So let's also now find ourselves a JPEG file. So let's go to move -- what do we have there? We have a JPEG file called Brooklyn. Let's move it. I don't know why I keep saying that. MC, no idea. This is the JPEG file. Let's copy paste the image name and just say the path to the file is just right there. So the file is a JPEG. Do something with the image. So we can echo out to the screen. It is a JPEG. and we can echo out to the screen. It is not a JPEG. This is PHP solution to how to check. So let's run it. Luckily for us, it's a JPEG. Now we need different files check. So let's take and touch a file now. And we're gonna call it testimage.jpg. And we're gonna take this image here and say test image. This is just an empty file now. So let's go ahead and check it. Is it now an actual? So we got a reading error here. Now, of course, the reading error is because there is no stream, no data inside the file, but it also says this is not a JPEG. Even our file, command will not accept this. It's empty. So let's go ahead and put something in it just to have something. Say I am a JPEG. Let's clear screen, and one more time, let's run the script. It is not a JPEG. And our file also says this is ASCII text. Okay, so let's go to Chat GPT now and ask for how can I alter a file's header to look like a JPEG file. Now, this is by doing that by altering the magic bytes of a file, or the header bits, the identifier bits, and it tells us that we should basically put FFD8FF. I think the normal 4 bytes is E0 in the end, FFD8E0. I'm going to use a hex editor. So if I go ahead and use I think it's called hex something, hex edit, couldn't be easier. So test image. Go ahead and say FFD8FF to that, and basically just save it, go out, and save changes. Yes, let's one more time do a file on that. Now the file command in Linux is saying this is a JPEG image file, even though we know this file is not a JPEG image. If we run the PHP script, it says it's a JPEG file. So the functionality of that function is looking at the the actual first part of the header in the file, which is the byte that says this is a JPEG, this is a document for Word, this is a BMP whatever image, this is a PNG, this is a zip file, and so on. Every file has its own type, it's a magic file type. So you can go ahead and go to show me the most common magic common file type headers. It's very different what people call them. It could be like magic numbers, it could be the file type identifiable bits. I've heard everything in my life, but these are some of the common ones, and we could basically put those in the front of any type file, and it will go through as the JPEG file, even though it is not a JPEG. So now, even though that we did what Chat GPT told us to do, and this is probably a legit function, you can go and check it out, and it basically just says that it's determine the file type of an image, read the first bytes of image to check its signature. It's exactly what it does. So, and people say, how can you fix that? How can you fix that? There's something wrong with the function. And no, I'm sorry to say, it's nothing wrong with the function. Function does exactly what it should do. It reads the first bytes of an image and check its signature. So this is not really, enough then. So the question should be, what is enough? If you should validate a file content, or just a file itself, you could probably go ahead and do something more. So let's use the AI again and see what it can help us with. So how to validate using PHP whether a file's content is an actual JPEG image. So it looks like the same thing one more time. No? Okay. I don't know that function. Image create from string. So it says that the image string is only then you can create an image resource from string. If string is a valid image. So if we go ahead and check that out on PHP, it says return an image identifier representing the image obtaining from the given data. These types will be automatically detected if you build. Okay, so alright, let's this time, where was it? Take this script right here, and we know this is not working as we wish it should work. Well, I guess it is working, but we want more than that. And something else also came. There we go. So I'm gonna comment all the other things out one more time. Say this is a JPEG. This is not a JPEG. So what we do here is we take the path of the image. We get all the content of the image, so every bit and byte of the image, and we do something check if the file contains the valid JPEG image. So let's go ahead and just run this code. I saved it, yes I did. And let's go out of this and say, okay, I'm getting some errors here. Undefined function. Now we cannot run this function, and that is because we are running PHP 8 something, so it's not, that is not the reason. Well, it's a fail error, so let's go ahead and copy paste that to Google, and I guess that is the error. The GD extension. Okay, so we should basically ask Chat GPT how to enable the GD extension for PHP in Linux. So now we're asking it for help to run the script. Let's assume it is installed. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe it is not installed. I literally do not know. Let's just, I guess, run it. It wasn't installed. There we go. That's a lot of things. Yes. So I think it's very interesting how the AI will. I consider many things, but not that. It is unsupported, yada yada yada. Okay, so I don't know about all this, but it says it is not a JPEG. Now let's go ahead and do this one there. Let's take the real JPEG now and run it one more time. It is a JPEG. So we can conclude from running our test, and you saw how I did it, that just changing a file's header will not validate the image for this function. So is this enough? So let's go ahead and copy paste this and ask ChatGPT is using the function from PHP enough to protect against insecure file upload. Let me just give it a context to function. Is this valid JPEG file help to ensure that the file legitimate JPEG image? However, it is generally not sufficient to completely protect against. So it says there are many other type of attacks. So it does say that we validate the content in addition using the image create from string or similar function to validate the file type. You can also use finfo or mtime content, so giving alternatives to that function, which is good. Validate the file size, which is also good. Validate the file name for characters like that, for example. Use secure connection. Use server-side validation. So it kind of tells us to do this. So let's go to OWASP and write cheat sheet file upload. And I kind of want that, and let's do PHP. So let's I think this is also needed. So apart from all, error handling and things, this is only centered around the actual upload. I think this is too much. So the file upload cheat sheet, according to OWASP, which is the Open Web Application Security Project, they should be considered as the gurus in the field. So I would say what they say is needed is what is needed. So they talk about it's becoming a more and more essential part of any application, which is why you need to protect. So list allowed extensions. So extensions is one way to start the whole thing. Ensure that input validation is applied before validating extensions. Sure, the files using the content type header can be spoofed. That's what we just talked about. Change the file name to some year of application. Set the file name length, restrict the allowed characters possible, set the file size limit, only allow authorized users to upload files, store the files on different servers if that's not possible, store them outside the web root. Yes, in the case of public access, needs user handler that gets mapped to the files inside the application, some ID to that. So now we are looking at this and saying, okay, so we don't know what that is. So let's go and ask Chat GPT. This is from OWASP. Show me an example in PHP. So, yeah. Example PHP script implements a file handler to serve publicly accessible file. Okay. So it's basically giving us a PDO object, which is I think it stands for PHP data object. It's a way to create prepared statements in PHP, and also holds a lot of different kind of database types like MySQL and MSSQL and so on. In this particular one, they shade. So what they do is they get the ID for the request. You select the file, open files where ID is equal to. We then bind the parameter, execute it, fetch it, save the result in the file variable, and if there's something inside of it, we will take the MIME type and the content disposition in the header and redirect directly. Not redirect, but echo at the file content. Okay. So let's go back and see. I see. Run the file through an antivirus or sandbox. Sure. Ensure that inner library is used and securely configured and kept up to date. Protect the file load against cross-site request attacks. So I think all of this is very good, and we basically need to to get a function that, you know, is write a secure file upload script in PHP to the modern standards of 2022, I guess. So let's see what this AI will give us. It is setting the file size, that's good. The file type, the good. Giving us a long path to upload, not indicating it should be in the web root, which is good. Checking if the form is submitted, checking if the file was uploaded, validate the file size, and then it does something like validate the file type. This is a allowed dot extension, validate the file name using regular expression, create a random file name, move the file to, yeah, so this script is not sufficient because we can bypass. So we need to get even more. You know, it didn't even include this. You know, so I think I should say now add security to check if the file is an actual. I didn't supply any, didn't I? File types. So let's do that. Now add security check if the file is an actual JPEG file, and checking its content too. So now I gave it even more clear instructions. So let's see what it does this time. It's using the image create from string, which is good. It's also using the X. Now you can use the and. Okay, so it shows basically the same thing one more time. Just have a small sip of Christmas drink. Not a commercial. Just thirsty. Alright, so it is using the EXIF file type. So the function did run. Sorry, the Chat GPT did output all the things. I had to pause the video just for a quick moment. My phone rang. So now it's using the image create from string, and it seems like this is an actual legitimate okay idea for a secure file upload. So let's go to Google and say secure PHP file upload. Let's just do that now and say like, hey, how to upload files with PHP correctly and securely. This is on dev.to. I would say it's probably not a bad thing to read this article. So they do say something about this. File sizing, it all allowed contents, and let's say if they hit some of the function we used so far. And so far, let's just see, this is the full script. Okay. It uses this instead. I don't know if that is as good as the other one. I do not know. Someone already say there's a security hole. Yes, and already now I'm not going to read more of this because I don't think it's good enough. Let's go to Stack Overflow. That's quite normal to be okay. So we have a completed answer here, and they did something like the main thing to consider now. So they did yes, and so that's the actual. And they do talk about verifying the image. That's not enough. There is some function here, get image size, move uploaded, remove both this and that, set up a database. Okay. Just didn't catch it, but I didn't think that they actually used that function. I think this is an older post, maybe. That's the problem with 8 months ago. Yeah, it shouldn't be that old. But let me just try also finish the video, because we're just trying to learn. Uploading files is definitely something that gonna, need some extra attention. So what could we ask as a last question? So let's assuming that you just save all files in database and say then that's it. Then then you don't have to carry too much about where it's located and so let's write this. Considering that we save all files in a database for a website, will this be a good idea? Having thinking about the speed and the complexity. Let's see what it says to that. I didn't really, I just asked direct questions. Second of all, advantages such as making it easier for manage the file and providing centralized location for storing and accessing the file. However, it can be some drawbacks. Increasing complexity on facts considered deciding whether a file it's small, document a few hundred kilobytes in the database, may not have a significant impact on the performance, right? If the file larger videos, large files, storing the database increase the size of the database and potentially affect the performance of the website. Another factor considers the number of files. If you expect to have a large number of files, then storing the database can increase the complexity. Yes, in general, it's better to store large files in a file system and also store the file metadata such as name, cipher up in the database. This can help improve performance. So I think all this is true from what I just can remember off the top of my head. So using this AI to help us create secure files, I would any day I would copy paste this script here and create a class. But what we still need to do, some of the things like running a virus scanner, wherever that was, checking there we go, the file content. So even though if we can check the actual hash of it up against, let's say, virus total and so on, we can go in further. I just want to try one more time. Secure PHP file upload script. What about this one here? Did they? Whoa, it's small. There are some things they do. Fin file. They do this fin full mime type. I think it's only gonna check. So maybe we could go ahead and ask Google about this. Just say like, is using that enough to secure file uploads? And it knows that we are speed up the image conversion times. How not to do it? How not to do it is just to upload the file or what? I think a chicken could say that, but I'm not yes. I see. I have no idea what this was all about. You know, I just think that risk of a PHP image upload form. Wow. The biggest concern is obviously that malicious users will upload things that are not images to a server. That is true, especially with not uploads. One way to protect against that is to make sure the file are not executable after you move them. Using chmod, change the permissions in the file. I think it's very interesting why they do not mention the function that I just used to check, and we just verified this was actually working by changing the header of a file. I know there are some other things we should also verify for, but that's in the OWASP. I'm just saying that this is an actual example, and I think just using Chat GPT we can get really far. And no doubt we can even ask it to modify the script and say add, you know, whatever against directory traversal and so on. So I want to say thanks for the script, Chat GPT. I'm gonna end the video now, and I'll say that I really hope you learned something about using AIs, about file types. I just hope you learned something today, because this is really why I'm sitting here and creating these videos for you. And learn with me, and I really want to learn something new every day. And this is one of the things, using AIs in my daily life. See you again online.